What do you remember from Y2K?
I remember it being a story that dominated headlines before it even happened. Right. And I
Oh,
think
for a
that's what's
long time.
interesting. You get so
Hmm.
much news is reactionary. Very rare do we get to get worried in advance of something. And it was, can you imagine any piece of software coding error news to be top level news item for, months on end in 2023?
No.
And our reliance on technology has only gone up, not down.
Yeah.
It's
The
it's
sheer scale of the fear in 1999 was astronomical. People all over the world were terrified that their bank accounts were going to go empty, planes were going to fall from the sky, their computers were going to start listening in on their conversation. That there was so much fear that everyone was kind of scared to do anything.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It felt almost like it was like a change in, I don't know. It was like a proxy for our reliance on technology and kind of that transition where people weren't quite ready to go away from everything, analog to this new world where nowadays people will give their credit card number away with like two strokes of their phone without thinking twice. We're in a
Mm-hmm.
completely different place.
I mean, which goes to show you how much security has changed over the last 20 years. That now we've put these processes and procedures into place that have really minimized the risk to us. But getting back to Y2K, it was obviously a huge concern there. And I think the parallel that we're drawing is that the technology that we're seeing today, or the evolution of artificial intelligence that we're seeing today, is equally as scary. And I think
I,
you brought up a great point. It's that dependency on the technology that becomes so scary.
I think that's right because I think Y2K people thought like, oh, could we remove the computer from some of these processes? Like they
Right.
almost saw that as a, can we avoid it by not relying on this technology or change what we're doing? And
Right.
now that ship feels like it's sailed.
Yep.
And assuming that we're married to, the advent of the use of technology, and in this case, specifically increased reliance on software that uses artificial intelligence. Um, do, can we wean ourselves off? Is there an equivalent of Y2K type anxiety event that we think could get us to put the genie back in the bottle with how we use and rely on technology today? And we can focus on, work, right? Where if we go back to a pre-computer world anymore.
I mean, that's like asking, could you do your daily job without the internet?
There you go.
I mean, the reality is, even if I'm making a piece of code, it's not all from my head. I'm going out, I'm searching the repositories of the internet to figure out how to do something. If you take that away, not only will productivity cease to improve, it'll stop altogether. And we're seeing that adoption of technology becoming more and more prevalent, and more power is being ceded to the technology. Right? We're giving more control over to bots. We're giving more control over to AI in order to help our daily tasks. But that dependency is what creates that double edged sword.
Mhm.
Because if it goes away, then what do you do?
That's right. And I do think I want to say that there seems to be a difference of how people think about AI versus, let's say, technology, software, or even the internet in general, because people can personify artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
Even if it's not there, they see it. It could be a malicious actor or, a being that's doing something in some way, kind of right behind the scenes. That does it almost makes it easier to be afraid of, because people envision, and again, not to get us into the difference between robotics versus AI, but people can visualize something
Mhm.
or someone.
Skynet.
Yeah, exactly. Doing these things in a way that maybe broader technological advances are harder to put your finger on, exactly what difference it's going to make.
I mean,
Um,
that's an interesting point too, because in Y2K it was all about the date switchover. right? There was no malicious actor. It was just a temporal issue that was pre-programmed into all of our computers. I think maybe one of the bigger differences between like Y2K and the AI revolution that we're currently in is now malicious actors can use the AI. They can manipulate these systems. And what does that mean for our future? Do we have to have a whole new set of risk profiles associated with these technologies because people can be a bad actor? Or will we evolve with the technology and find ways of protecting ourselves through similar methodologies?
I mean, I think that's right. And I think what happens realistically is once we shift the blame to bad actors, all of a sudden we no longer blame the tools.
Mhm.
Look at 2019. I think deep fakes were a big concern, in the upcoming election and just, for swaying people's political beliefs.
Misinformation.
Uh,
Yep.
And not that it's unfounded, because I think there absolutely is the capability to do so. But it's not as if people revolted against technology as a whole. And for the most part, I mean, I guess that we know of, I suppose it could be very realistic. Most of what you see that technology get used for it's parody videos or jokes or something that's, a silly filter or something like that, which maybe, I mean, to give us the benefit of the doubt is just because most actors aren't, evil, but rather benign.
Mhm.
But again, I'd say that was the scariest AI event or feature that I could think of up until now. And it hasn't been huge, right? I mean, I don't think this
That we
dramatically
know of.
changed the way we do. Yeah, that's true. They are deep than the way we live. I think, with the exception of the one you always hear about, and continue to hear about, is the loss of jobs
Mhm.
to automation and the use of AI. And it's not hard to see. I mean, as soon as ChatGPT comes out, you see article after article explaining how you can replace, workers with this type of technology and how much more efficient it is. And here are the top 10 jobs that are likely to be replaced by, ChatGPT or LLMs. And I mean, do you think that's founded? Do you think it's a realistic fear, or the number one fear that people should have?
No, I think that with any technology is going to come a certain amount of fear. Um, AI is just the newest phase in that evolution. And, as we have worked together, there have been a number of quote unquote revolutions with the AI technology, RPA being one of them, right? Where people had a fear that RPA was going to completely shock the system, especially in the accounting world. And
In
while that
RPA,
is,
of course, real quick, right? Robotic process automation, where we're literally taking away keystrokes that someone's doing and replacing them
that's right.
with a computer program. Go on.
That's right. And, while that is true, we replace certain tasks in the daily work life of an employee. That doesn't replace the employee. What it does is it frees up time for the employee to work on more strategic, high level tasks that they would otherwise be dedicating to this menial, repetitive, busy work. And so instead, we're really empowering our employees to do what they do best, right? Allowing them to have a little bit more flexibility, have a little bit more leeway, figure out how to do their job the best way possible by enabling it with technology, not replacing it with technology.